All righty then. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be here. Good to be here. Beena is having technological or not technological. Let's see, what would that be? Infrastructure issues. They have a power outage at the moment. They have a peculiar power system over there. It's quite odd. Quite odd. Anyway, marvelous, marvelous. We're going to continue with the readings. I miss you, Beena. Oh, she said she was going to try and be here. You can come on Zoom on your phone. This doesn't have power for the laptop. Well, that's all good. That's all good. I'm thinking about connectivity and connection, communicating, but more specifically how to connect to people. How get people to connect to me also. So when I do the podcasts, starting next week in a week's time, next week Wednesday, right? There will be people can call in, and there's going to be 5 video, 5 audio, and I don't know what they're going to do when they call in during the video. At least the podcast people, probably they'll just refer them to my website or something. But that's what I've been working on. See, so I don't want them to, if they have questions, I want their questions to go answered. It's important to me always. However, I was thinking, during the 5 audio ones, then they'll be live, and I'll take their calls live. Maybe at the end of the video ones, maybe time for 1 or 2. It's possible. Anyway, but I was thinking of what to do with the people that call in that don't get to be answered on air, right? During the podcast, the live podcasts. Maybe a lot. I don't know how many it will be, but it doesn't matter. However many, it's something that I need to deal with. So I was really kind of not sure what to do, set up a call where they can book an appointment to call and all that. But that's all, it's very complicated and very disruptive also in my day. And then it's like, duh, I will set up a special phone number that people can call in, but on this time, right? Between 10 and 12, it's the only time the number is available. The rest, you just get an answering machine. And then they call in live while we're doing the lives here, the opens. And that's it. They can call in and, it doesn't matter. Let's say now we're doing readings or whatever we're doing. There's always something that we're busy doing. It doesn't matter. Somebody calls in, we just pause it and deal with whatever they ask, right? It's not a problem. At least it isn't for me. Yeah. And I think that'd be pretty cool, though, actually, as well. People calling in here. That'd be great. And if there's a lot from the podcasts, which I hope there will be, that this becomes a call-in show. It essentially becomes Ask Biella, which goes hand in hand with the book being released. So it's all, works out pretty well, to become a Call Biella thing. And that's going to be interesting for me because, when I write those articles, I really get into character as Biella. And yes, of course, there's similarities and overlaps, yeah. But there is a difference. There is a very, very real difference, and also, Biella of the Ask Biella is a different Biella to the Biella in the books. Because the Ask Biella is now, she's here, she's contemporary, whereas Biella is in the future. It's a little different. And what I'm saying is when I write Biella, the character in the books, she's in that world. Now it's the same Biella, but she just moves in time. Right? So she is aware of this, or at least as I write, I'm aware, and I take this under consideration, into cognizance, right? Because, like all these questions, people are asking here, they're not asking in the context of Nobelia, they're asking in the context of this world. And also, when in the books, when I'm sharing as Biella or writing about Biella, Biella's talking and sharing. She's sharing from the full context of Nobelia with new nobles, the aspirants. Her language is different. Her usage of it is different. The depth that she will go into things is different. Whereas, in an article or when in a response, you can't be writing a book, and some of the responses that Biella has in the book series, they long and detailed because she's giving the full story. There's no holding back there for later. Whereas somebody's asking a question in an advice column, they don't want the whole book. They want article length, right? Or less, even. They want a comprehensible, graspable answer. And that's quite challenging, especially the way Biella thinks and that multi-layeredness, looking at more to it and all this. That's difficult. Hello, Norma. Hello, Norma. Hello, Norma. Hello, 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 wonderful Norma. Always such a joy to have you here. Always such a joy, such a joy. Yeah, yeah, very cool, very cool. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, I'm going to get set up and then we'll start reading in a moment. Love it that you're here, Norma. Love it that you're here. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm trying to remember where we were yesterday. I remember now. I remember now. We were on the chapter after the one on unconditional love. Is attention connected to purpose? That's where we were last. Wow, we've only got 3 chapters left on for this one. Wow, wow, wow. Very cool. Very cool. All right, I'm going to screen share. I know you don't read along, Norma, but others like to, and it does help the article. But plus, beside which, I want you to see the pictures. Screen share. I added this is the art that I'm going to be using in the book, right? Before I had art that I used when I posted them originally in the newspaper and in the on my blog, but it's like public access, publicly available art. So you might see it elsewhere, but this I created. This I created. There's a lot of blinking work. Yes, I've used digital and the computer and AI and everything, but still, it's a ton of work to do. It's quite a pain actually. It's difficult to get what you want, and to match it to the article in some way. It's much harder than you think, especially when the topics are relatively abstract. Some of them were fairly easy, but this one is difficult. Yeah. So the question is, but what can I do? I've heard this question many, many times from different people. I don't remember who asked this. Yeah. Um, Oh, it's kind of a general one, but that's okay. Like I say, I've heard it many times. It doesn't have a specific person attached to it, but I thought this was a good painting for this, right? You got the one in the middle, and you got all these rings and layers of stuff, and you can do this, you can do that, but it's showing how everything is connected, right? Everything interconnected, right? But also it all connects back to the person in the center, right? So even if you don't think so, you are connected to what's going on in the world. You are connected, right? Can you see the picture, Norma? Before I scroll down and start reading, I'm keen to know what you think of the picture. Let me know. Let me know, Norma. Let me know. Up, my internet connection needs to go for therapy. Got a message from Zoom. Said your internet connection is unstable. All right. There we go. You only have an 8-hour working day. Yes. Well, not really. Mine is more like 10 or 12 or 14 even, but all right. Thank you though, Norma. What do you think of the picture, Norma? I want to know what you think of the picture. Tell me. Tell me before I move on. I like this. I like this just as an art. I enjoy art that has complexity to it. And the colors aren't jarring. So there's a range of art in this book, lots of it. I would love a copy. It's not too bright. All right. All right. Okay. Well, see, there's no time like the present. All right. I don't know if it's going to paste there, but I'm gonna email it to you, Norma. Doesn't take long. It's not, the copy didn't work. All right, it'll have to wait. All right. Anyway, I tried to copy it and it didn't do it. So sometimes you can drag them across. Up. All right. All right. Let's read. Yeah, there we go. See? Oh, nice and wonderful. Mood management. But what can I do? Biella was asked, you talk of the new nobility being focused on just being, but what do they do to just be? Mood management, Biella simply said. She looked over to her dear and glorious friend and stated, there comes a time in the life of a new noble when they shift from living a personal life. What other kind of life is there? Biella explained. They take on life as an agent of the universe. And then the exquisite dance begins, the dance of power, the dance of joy, the dance of freedom. For it is a dance of control, a dance of responsibility, a dance of awareness and attention. In this dance, we take up the task of managing the mood of the universe, of the world, and everything in it. It is a stupendous undertaking. It is an impossibility, and yet we try. We dance and dance like never before. We never relent in our dance of joy, in our dance of cheer, in our dance of positivity. It is our task to be good, to set the tone, to supply the mood. Our personal feelings become irrelevant. We have undertaken the most sublime challenge possible. The challenge of, Biella broke off. The challenge of, don't stop there. I continue in a moment. Being good. Biella had a faraway look on her face, a look of connection, a look of grace. It's the challenge of a lifetime. It's the challenge to always be our best, to always be the most appropriate we can be in any and all contexts. And what's appropriate? What can we be sure of as always being appropriate? Goodness, of course. But doing what's good is difficult to know. However, feeling good, we know contributes to the goodness of the world, the goodness of everything. If we are contributing to the feeling of goodness wherever we are adding to the goodness of the world. What a challenge. Biella breathed, shivered, feeling the complexity of her thoughts. We affect the world around us with how we feel. We affect the world around us with how we feel. Every feeling and mood we put out affects those around us. Their feelings and mood in turn affect others. Every single one of us can thus be the butterfly sneeze that causes the typhoon of positivity and goodness. Simply by being good, by feeling good, this is the only doing that is needed. The only doing good we can do without assumption. Everything else is a presumption. The new nobility take this responsibility seriously. Actually, they take it very seriously. But the questioner faltered. No, some more glorious art. Look at that. Magic world. Yes, there are many buts. It's no simple task to take on this responsibility of mood management. It involves being impeccable. Ah, it's no simple task to take on this responsibility of mood management. It involves being impeccable. Biella left off as the explaining was too much. She drifted into an emotion, allowing it to take full hold of her. Yeah, Exactly, Norma. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I will send you the color version. It's not a rich color version, but there is color. All right. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Yeah. Um, um, this thing about feelings. See, to do good is very challenging. We've gone over this topics many times because we don't know what's good for another. And sometimes, like in that example with helping somebody solve a puzzle, yeah, you're not really helping them. You're depriving them of the opportunity to figure it out for themselves. Negative help, but we thought we were helping. So, helping somebody in the usual way through doing is very difficult. But feeling good, this I know is always going to help. Doesn't matter because it adds to the feeling of goodness in the world, right? So, but just by feeling good, we do good. By feeling good, it's a very big deal, right? So Biella's got the story, right? She drifted into an immersion, allowing it to take full hold of her. I remember a time, Biella said. It seems so long ago now, when Illumina and I first encountered the concept of mood management, of being an agent of the universe. Illumina had been on a trip with someone, and let's just say, mood management was a challenge. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. What happened here now? Ah, and let's just say mood management was a challenge. We had chatted via the com. Biala went back into the immersion, seeing it from the outside. She had said, and be resolute, Angel, insisting ever so slightly, scrupulous. Illumineer replied, feel a bit sad about no longer having a personal, however, excited about being an agent of the universe. It's there, the personal. It just has a different scope for expression, but it becomes much more special when the opportunities present. I guess a princess of the universe is an agent of the universe. Bella laughed. Ethical responsibility. Bella laughed. It makes it all worthwhile, as does being an agent of the universe. It is a most special charge, one requiring the full use of all our skills and our integrity, and constant attention, of course. But above all, being an agent of the universe requires ethics. And yes, a princess is a special agent. She added, it's always the moods of others which are paramount. An agent has to be a paragon. It's really fun being an agent. As always, always, an agent is engaged in the distribution of good. Illumineer responded. I wanted to say in terms of mood management, watching the beginnings especially closely is critical. One has to nip in the bud at all costs any start of a mood which threatens internally. It's only then, in those early stages, that we really have any control. Biela, absolutely. And in terms of your specific interaction, if one sets the mood of positivity, trust, togetherness, closeness, solidarity, communion, and of being a unit, any other options become impossible. That's the key of it all, to broadcast and radiate the moods and attitudes we want. That broadcast prevents any other options. Just trust and see. Extrapolate positively. Definitely. I feel good. Anticipating. You are good. Always. Never forget that. You are connecting to your power, the power of making the world good and better by you being good and happy through your mood management. Wow. Yep. Maybe a young Illumineer. Unpresumed goodness. Biala elaborated. I have been thinking much about this, the finer points of it. I see it as essential, also from the new nobility perspective, that mood management is never seen as something which is forced or foisted, or in any other way put upon people. It comes about more from not being able to do the opposite. Since moods, attitudes, and perspectives, thus our very beings, are contagious, we have the ethical responsibility to not infect the world with negativity. It's thus about not being negative. It's thus about not being negative. Positivity is our only option. Not only are we not going around trying to sell positivity, it is just the way we are to be, and it's not negative. Wow. We only have one responsibility, really. Only one task, and that's to not be negative. You don't have to be positive, but you do have to not be negative. Understanding this prevents us from presuming what is good for others. All we can do when we take this all into account is be what is good. We know this will affect the world around us positively, and that's great. But it is never a forced perspective. Part of our positivity is freedom. And positivity laced with freedom of choice is certainly much easier to deal with than negativity in any form. The one adds energy with which to make choices, the other subtracts energy. It's a profound responsibility, and like everything, has to be applied with awareness. If not, we can easily spread types of positivity when that's not desirable, such as condoning or enabling. So it forces us to be continuously, deliberately aware, which is our goal in terms of freedom. Mood management is a fantastic mechanism, thus, for leveraging our awareness, for keeping it constantly in play, for leveraging us to be continuously paying attention. We know how easy it is to become immersed in anything. Mood management leverages our goodness, giving purpose to every single second of being. Mood management leverages our goodness, giving purpose to every single second of being. To live knowing we are continuously doing good and adding to the goodness of the world simply by being our goodness is awesome indeed. It's truly a way to live. Yes, they do. Yes, they do love each other. Yes, yes, yes. Always, always. Yes, our feelings, we create our own goodness. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Mood is energy dependent. I don't necessarily see it as an ethical obligation to be happy, but since moods, attitudes, and perceptions are infections, it's certainly our ethical duty to be not negative. And Illumina prompted positive sobriety. And there's a mood that's not happy, but neither is it miserable or unhappy. It's the mood of positivity, resolute positivity. Wow, 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 wow. It's a mood of sobriety, and it's a low energy requirement mood, therefore an excellent option when all else is not lining up. It's simply a commitment to positivity with all the realism attached. Wow, 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 wow. It's simply a commitment to positivity with all the realism attached. Not optimism necessarily, but simply an insistence on the trust that things will work out, despite not seeing how. Wow, that's this mood of sobriety. It's not optimism necessarily, but simply an insistence on the trust that things will work out, despite not seeing how. Thus, a choice of sensibility, a choice we can make when we don't have the energy to consider options, a retreat option as well as a go-to option. This resolute positivity can be combined with happiness, joy, and enthusiasm, or not. Mm. A most excellent mood, I have found. Shifting gears. Biella suddenly asked, are you feeling the power? Yes, yes. Norma says, I meant as a group as well. Seems a difference, but love is love. There is individual loves, but not as a group. They do love as a group, absolutely, and as individuals. Oh, yes, absolutely. You're talking about the new nobility. Absolutely, they love as a group. Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're about goodness, and love is part of goodness, right? Oh, they see goodness as all encompassing, right? So here we come to a very favorite little passage of mine, right? Uh, some nice art again, but yeah. Shifting gears, Biella suddenly asked, "Are you feeling the power?" "What do you mean?" "When we take upon ourselves the task of responsibility and mood management, we empower ourselves. We are suddenly in charge of our lives and how we feel. Not only that, but we are also in charge of adding to the goodness of the world. When we engage in mood management, we have decided that the infection of negativity stops us. We have taken on the task of refusing to pass on the infection of negativity. We will no longer be part of the negativity infection cycle. We will no longer contribute to adding to the infection of negativity. This is empowering, knowing our every action, our every effort of mood management is contributing to the good of the world. We don't have to go around spreading cheer, always being happy. All we have to do is refuse to be negative. This is powerful self-knowledge and empowering. It's a joy to know we are doing good every second of our engagement in mood management. Feeling the world. Feeling the world. Are you feeling the power? Biella asked again. Your power, the power of being in charge, the power of determining mood, the power of maintaining it, the power of making things right, of making things good, the power of not letting things slip into negativity, the power of being impeccable with your mood, with your energy, and with your positivity. Do you feel how you are making a difference? Do you feel the ethics of it, the goodness of being good, and through that, doing good all the time? Biella sighed a deep sigh of the most profound love. Love for the world, love for her friends, love for everyone, love for everything, and said, a deliberate choice to be unrelentingly positive is the ultimate charity. Wow. 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 A deliberate choice to be unrelentingly positive is the ultimate charity. She smiled, that radiant, the glorious, grace-infused smile of hers. Illuminia returned the smile, adding illumination to the grace. And for the friends, all was right in the world. The end. From the Biella series. Here's a closing quote. It's imperative. Let's see what Norma says. Yes, wow, says Norma. Good, Norma. I love it. I love it when you enjoy. I love it when you enjoy. It gives me great joy. It gives me great joy to that you enjoy. It's a closing quote from Biella here. It's imperative we let our goodness find its own way out into the world. The minute we push it out, we add an intent that says, in essence, I believe this is good for you or others. And that's a presumption, no matter how tiny it is. Only the universe has access to the information needed to push that out. And look how the universe does it. Always in a way where we still have to put it together for ourselves. To presume to be able to push in that kind of way is just preposterous. Biella Noble. From Addendums and Afterthoughts. Yes, Mr. Eagle Eye, Miss Eagle Eye. It should be addenda and afterthoughts. However, the new nobility changed it to addendums because it reads nicer in this context. Right? We have that freedom to change language. Right? But this is an afterthought that came after this sharing, right? So it came to be added afterwards. So see, it's from addendums and afterthoughts. Very cool. And look at that. So the story is from when they were younger. See, so this may be a young Biella. Could be. Could be a young Illuminator too. Yeah. I just like the art. Look, just nice nature art there, Norma. I don't know if you can see. Doesn't necessarily connect to the story other than they're on Nobelia and she's retelling the story from the past, and Nobelia is all parks and it's a very beautiful place. Really, really, really beautiful. Parks and gardens and arboretums and things like that. Yeah. forests, all sorts of wonderful stuff. Brilliant, brilliant. Love that, love that. Just to recap, what can I do? Yes, we ask this question so much. People say, but what can I do to make the world a better place? Feel good. That's what you can do. The one thing you know that adds to the world without having possible side effects. No, if you feel good, adds that feeling good positivity into the world, and it increases the overall general goodness, good feeling of the world. And if people are feeling good, they don't do bad stuff. Right? It's very hard to do bad things when you're feeling good and feeling goodness as well. Right? I guess I know for some people doing bad makes them feel good, but there's always a caveat to that. You always have to justify it in some way, and then they're doing it to try and feel good, not because they're already feeling good. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this one, Beena. Beena, Norma. I'm calling you. Yes. As are you. You are so beautiful, Norma. You are most beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Just your heart is wonderful. Look at this, Norma. Look at this. Isn't that cool? The art. I just like it very much. Very much. What does it connect to? This is a great article. And this Connie, my friend Connie asked me. I love this. It's a very great question, Connie. I love it. I love it. Yeah, Connie does all sorts of wonderful things. It's very cool. It's a good question. Um, and Connie said, tell us more about how you communicate via what you put in the forefront of your awareness. I had shared a post about this, and Connie responded to it. Yeah, I was talking about forefront of our awareness, hold things in the forefront of our awareness. But she's asking how we communicate. Yeah, a very particular question. Dear Connie, summary. The key is to have whatever we wish to communicate via the forefront of our awareness thoroughly thought through. Then it's holding that issue and or understanding literally in the forebrain. Wow, 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 wow. That's quite something. Yeah, let's go over that again. Yeah, uh, they will be Norma. I am going to make two books. Yes, one is at least in the ebook, it's no problem, right? On the online book, there it's no problem to add the things in because it's just data, right? But in the printed book, it makes a printed book with art. It makes it very expensive. So I'm going to make two printed book versions, one without the art and one with the art. And the one with the art, it will be kind of a semi coffee book. It will be a bigger format, but also be um, a, a, a a landscape format, like this way, but bigger, not printed like this. Um, so we can really see the art nicely. Yeah. And then, the art on the one page and the writing on the other, or see how it works out. But yeah, to make it really nice. Yeah. And so there are two options though, if you don't want to, because it's expensive to put this in. It's very expensive. So we'll see. We'll see. It may end up typically the paperbacks are like $20 or sometimes less, but for a nonfiction paperback. Yeah, window format, yes. And yeah, but I mean, they're different formats. They call them like coffee table book, large format, whatever. So anyway, I'll be putting it out in the two formats because the art makes a very big difference. Now, obviously, the ebook's no problem, but in a paperback, or at least in a bound book, may even be a hardcover. I don't know. Hardcovers, I don't know if people even buy hardcovers anymore. Maybe, I don't know. It just doesn't seem realistic, but. Anyway, so yeah, they definitely will be in there because they make a difference. They add a tremendous amount, and it just changes the way you perceive the whole book, the whole writing. All right, so let's start again here. This is a very powerful topic here. Tell us more about how you communicate via what you put in the forefront of your awareness. Dear Connie, summary. The key is to have whatever we wish to communicate via the forefront of our awareness thoroughly thought through. Then it's holding that issue or understanding literally in the forebrain, like there where we headbutt, right? So right up here, right? Right in this, it's in the forehead, but in this kind of area over here. Like if you're going to headbutt, that's the strongest part of your head, by the way. Just so you know, don't headbutt somebody else there. That's no good. There's It was a very popular movie once upon a time with Brian Denny, big tough guy, and this younger student. They were boxing or whatever, and they ended up boxing in the fight. But his student is much smaller than he is, so quicker, and they have this massive big fight. And and the younger student knows he can't really win against the bigger guy who's like twice his size, right? It's like a kind of a grudge match thing, but he gets clever, and every time the bigger guy punches him, he ducks his head and he gets him to punch, and he challenges him to a bare knuckle fight. You see, so basically he ends up getting the big guy to break his own hands on punching him here on the spot on the head. It's always stayed with me for whatever reason. Stupid movies, stupid people doing stupid things. Yeah. Don't bash the third eye. Yeah, exactly. Because that's a little lower. Right. Exactly. So, you are going to get some bump your head, bump it here if you're going to bump your head. That's a better way to say it rather than head bashing. But anyway, yeah. It's there literally in the forebrain. 'Cause this is right behind you is where your forebrain sits, right? And this is at the top of your forebrain, I guess. This would be all forebrain, but right there, right? It's like, when people have that expression, say, "What is it written on my forehead?" Sometimes it is. It comes into this in a way, yeah, right? Uh, like there where we headbutt. However, it's a soul concentration. It's not a soul concentration or something like that. Consumes all our attention. Or something that consumes all our attention. Sorry. However, it's not a soul concentration or something that consumes all our attention. It's like an overlay, influencing everything we do, while still allowing us to do what we normally would. In this way, it cues via context, providing those subtleties which are otherwise difficult to communicate. We put ourselves to the front in regard to what we wish to communicate this way. Now, that's the summary. So now let's go into the detail of it. I like that. Don't bash the third eye. Yep, no, not a good idea. Subtle intent. Love the question. Putting something in the forefront of awareness is tricky to explain. Yeah, but we can get there through what it's not. Yeah, philosophy of opposite. Wow, very cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, that reminds me. Come on now. Oh, I just want to take the opportunity to actually add this. It's pretty cool. What what this is to explain something via what it's not. Dang it. Come on. There we go. Right. All right. Um, Yeah, I take this opportunity. Yes, I know I'm breaking the reading of the article a little bit there, but it matters. It really does. In this, that I'm adding all those. It's something I forgot to do at the time. This is an old idea, right? But I never added it there. To that book is called 50 Ways to Be Smarter, or 50 Examples of Being Smarter Using Opposite. Yeah. uh, Either way, ways, examples. And it's a very powerful book. It's all about the philosophy of opposite, but I purposely used a bit of a clickbaity title, or am going to use one, even though it sounds clickbaity, it actually isn't, right? Because it really is about 50 ways to be smarter using opposite. Maybe it'll end up being 30 or 60. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to just keep adding them as I come up, right? Right. Uh, So subtle intent. Love the question. Putting something in the forefront of awareness is tricky to explain, but we can get there through what it's not. It's not holding something in memory. It's not concentrating on something either. although that's part of it. Same with attention. It's not exactly holding something in attention either, but again, attention is a part of it. The key element is intent. The key element is intent. And my intent has been for Beena to join us. And I do believe Benabulosity has come just in time because I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Hello. Hello, Syl. Hello,
Hello,
Norma.
hello. Good
You
morning.
okay?
Good morning, Beena. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good
Hello.
morning. How are you? I don't want to
Yes,
keep you here, but
I am.
yes.
I am very good. I am very good.
Okay.
We
Okay.
just
So
started.
I'll
We just
continue.
started. So this is good timing, right? Tell us. Well, look at the
Yes.
picture first. Look at that gorgeous art there. Tell us more about how you communicate via what you put into the forefront of your awareness. So that was the summary, but we're starting here on the summary doesn't help very much. So start reading with subtle intent. But I think on this one, read it, Beena, read it
Mhm.
like you reading it for maximum receptivity. This is a very important topic, and I'm keen to have it read that way. Norma says, "Hi, Beena."
Hello, Norma. I'm
Yeah,
glad you are here.
yeah. Norma was marvelously keeping me company and answering questions and or making comments and all sorts of things. So yeah, and answering questions and answering questions. Yeah. So very fun, very fun. So please read, Beena. Please read. Mm.
Okay. Subtle intent. Ah, love the question. Putting something in the forefront of the awareness is tricky to explain, but we can get there through what it's not. Wow, okay, the first sophistication right there for me again. Okay. I'm going to read it again for myself. Subtle intent.
Brilliant,
Ah,
brilliant. Yeah, I paused too there, Beena. I added that to philosophy of opposite book, to
uh,
understand via what it's not, right?
yes. Love the question. Putting something in the forefront of the awareness is tricky to explain, but we can get there through what it's not. It's not holding something in memory. It's not concentration on something either, although that's part of it. Same with attention. It's not exactly holding something in attention either, but again, attention is part of it. The key element is intent. In this case, it's a muted intent, a secondary intent. Let's say we wish to communicate to our boss to treat us nicely. This is a complex communication because, of course, if we simply hold that as a wish and we don't do our part, then it's just silly and likely to be counterproductive.
Hmm.
But assuming we do a legitimately good job and our boss still treats us badly simply because they are thoughtless or take their mood out on us, or we are habitually nice and our niceness is perceived as weakness which annoys them, and so on. In cases like this, coming to awareness of the problem, we can set about remedy with holding our communication in the forefront of our awareness.
Hmm.
Overlay communication. Oh, just a minute. Sorry for disturbance. So
Well,
it's an
that's
emergency
okay.
call.
The carnival's in town again, yeah? Or maybe Beena's part of a traveling carnival. What does he do in the traveling carnival, you might ask?
No
Wow.
matter how many times you are going to tease me about this, I love this ringtone.
So,
Okay.
in carnivals, not circus, a carnival, which is slightly different to a circus, by the way, right? So in
Yes.
carnivals, you have more of those, magic acts and people with unusual talents. So Bina
Yes.
is this stupendously stubborn woman.
Yes.
That's her. That's her superpower. Let's
Yes.
not get carried away. Keep reading, please, Bina. Keep reading.
Yes. Okay. Overlay communication. We can think of it as an overlay, or like music in a movie or lighting.
Hmm.
It's a vibe, a kind of
Let me
mood, but
scroll for
more
you. Sorry, one
focused.
second. There we go.
Yes. A tone, but deliberate. It's too much. No. So, okay.
Not again from overlay communication.
Okay, but deliberate. No, but deliberate. What keeps it in the forefront of awareness in that matter, in that is that it matters to us. What
There you
keeps
go.
it in the forefront of awareness is that it matters to us. It's important. And this
Yeah.
makes it show. This leaks the understanding we have. Here we have to be scrupulous. For this to work, we have to be clear about the issue, have it worked out in all the variations and different aspects and applications. Like we need to have all the potential counter arguments worked out in advance. Like we need to have all the potential counter arguments worked out in advance, and we have
Yeah.
to have
Yeah. Yeah.
all the potential problems resolved.
That's not like,
Always,
that's just we. It's not like we need to do it. We just do need to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
we need to have all the potential counter arguments worked out in advance, and we have to have all the potential problems resolved. Always, we need to understand what we are about,
Mm.
which is communication.
Yeah.
Hmm. Always we need to understand what we are about, which is communication, not
Yeah.
complaining, not self promotion, critique, or some other agenda. Our communication needs to be one that is pure. This is critical. The reason
Yeah.
for this particular method of communication is because of the subject matter, the issue. Typically, we reserve this method for when regular communication won't suffice, like with a boss. We are, in essence, critiquing them, but this would typically lead to awkwardness if communicated through usual means. Then they would have to acknowledge their transgression, and this leads to loss of face, status, and hierarchy problems.
Mm.
If we can, however, communicate via holding the issue in the forefront of our awareness, then the communication is not an acknowledged communication. They will get the idea, and even though there is a knowing that it came from us, this does not need to be acknowledged, and the politics of the relationship can be preserved where needed and changed where needed.
Yeah. 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 Does it make sense to you? Norma brings up a very interesting question. Yeah. And we'll
Okay.
answer your question in a moment, Norma. But it makes sense what this holding in the forefront of your awareness is and why it works and why it's important. Yeah, because you are communicating a vibe, a tone, a mood, an air, maybe a thought, an attitude, etc. But it's one where you can't say it, because if you say it, it's acknowledged, it's out in the open, and then it has to be dealt with, right? So you are communicating by holding it up here, right? Like when somebody's, well, right, moods you can see. Yes, mood is very obvious. I'm annoyed, I'm irritated. But if you hold it as a thought, you're not being cool. Right? Now, I don't have
Yeah.
mood that can be paid attention to, right? In other words, like, in some companies or like in the army, you can get into trouble just from having a bad mood, right? Inappropriate attitude, being disrespectful to your superior, etc., right? Uh, which
Yes.
is, so you can't have the mood of annoyance, but you can have a friendly, happy mood, but still think what you're doing is not cool. It's just not cool, not cool, not cool. And they're going to get it. And they can't fault you in any way, right? So it's two things. Not necessarily that you're looking to stay out of trouble, but you are looking to share communication, which lets them, oh, I didn't realize I wasn't being cool. They may even come and apologize, right? But if you say it, they have to deal with it. They have to act on it. And now their hierarchy, their authority is being challenged, and it gets very complicated with hierarchy, and then they're forced to kind of do something about it, and then that causes problems. So this forefront of awareness is to communicate things which are not easily communicated in the usual regular way, right? And that's the point of it. But also, if you want to, it's not just for communicating things which you can't communicate. It can be used in other ways too. For instance, I'm in a meeting, and I don't want to get into the meeting and say, Well, not, I don't want to. I can do it, but not everybody can say, hey, I love you all. They just don't have that ability to say that, right? And they'll feel a bit stupid, silly, whatever. Put it in the forefront of your awareness. Oh, yeah, I love you all. You're all cool. You're all excellent. I have positive vibes toward you. And you hold this all the time through your meeting. Your meeting may be about uncomfortable topics, new things that are bring about that people, oh man, that's a lot of work, and doesn't matter. I'm positive toward you. That's not personal. It's not personal. I love you, and this is about goodness, moreness, etc. See, there are many, many ways to use this. Very, very powerful things. So Norma says, some things important to me and my being aren't in the book. Some things are important to me and my being, and they aren't in the book, unless I am confused, i.e., our individual ability to create our lives ourselves. We create all the time. Yes, absolutely. This is in the book. Oh, absolutely. 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 Yes. Very key for the new nobility. They are profoundly, deeply individual, Norma. They are incredibly individual. Just because they are part of a society doesn't make them conformist or the same, or you've got to be this way, you've got to be that way. Oh, no, no, no. Being individual is absolutely highly, highly, highly prized. And it's important. It's critical. This is why they celebrate difference, because it's precisely that individuality that they are celebrating. Yes? Make sense? Right? So individuality is critically, critically, critically important. Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very necessary. Big deal. Yeah. Make sense? Please let me know if that makes sense, Norma, if I'm understanding your question right. Our individual ability to create our lives all the time. We create all the time. We do. All right. To get into this in a deeper way. Wow, there's still a lot to this article, by the way. So we'll get back to it in a moment. I don't want to lose my thread there too much. And Norma, all is energy, right? The universe, E. That's it. The universe is E, energy in physics, right? And what is E comprised of? How does it get to be energy? Energy is M, right? E equals mc squared. So it's matter that has been multiplied by c squared, right? So now you say, well, but we're not energy right now. We are the m part. We are matter. Well, when you rearrange that equation, you put m on its own, then you get m is equal to E divided by c squared. Now, what is c squared? It's just a very large number. Right? It's nothing magical or mystical. It's just an extraordinary large number. It's not an infinite number, just a very large number. And so if you take energy and you divide it by this large number, what does that mean in reality? Not mathematically. What does it actually mean in reality? It means energy slowed down. Yeah. What's the mechanism for slowing it down? Consciousness, awareness, conception. Yeah. Now, when you think of it this way, yeah, that's what we do through being aware, through conceiving, through using language. We're slowing down energy. We're taking it when you have a thought, isn't that taking energy and kind of stopping it in a way? Yeah, slowing it down. See, and then things become real. Now, you say, yeah, but I'm not materializing my Ferrari. Yeah. When you said we create all the time, the key is that we. Yes, we individually do this, but in order to make something happen, yes, it takes a lot of energy. So, of course, if we want to have things come into reality, we need everyone's energy involved in doing this, right? That's why us creating our reality is a communal project. However, there are times when we do bring things individually because we found a little pocket in a bubble and we're attuned and the things worked out right. So it does happen that we can bring things individually. But to create an entire world individually, that takes either inordinate energy or you need to be on your own and not having contrary energy to work against because everybody's putting out their idea of what the world needs to be, right? So what we end up is with the aggregate. That's why we don't get our individual things. Sometimes, yes, but we end up with the aggregate because everybody's doing it together, right? All overlapping. It's very useful to understand that. And in that sense, we are creating the world. Make sense, Norma? I hope so. I hope so. You missed that theme. Yeah, you may not have been here when we read that one, and it's in the other book, but yes, it's definitely individuality. Absolutely. Right. Oh, that's a nice Biella picture. Yes. The eyes are a little off, but okay, that works. Four-brain awareness. Will you continue reading, please? Does it make sense what I was saying, Beena? My explanation?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
All right.
Forebrain awareness. What we do is thus hold the fully worked out and resolved issue in mind. And I say forefront of awareness most deliberately because it literally feels as if it is held right in the front of our heads,
Mm.
like there just behind the top of the forehead. It's literally being placed in a different frame, almost like if we were to head it into another. Wow. It would be right there where it would be
Mm.
transmitted the best. This may sound like sound like nonsense to some, but let's come at this from a different perspective. One
Well,
where
one second,
we
one
are
second. Let
all
me
experts.
change that, Beena, to head touch.
Okay.
If you head touch with somebody else, you don't put your cheek next to them
Yes.
or your chin. You put this part, yeah, right? Tum, right?
Yes.
We'll call it
Yes.
we'll call it head touch rather. Much better because some people aren't
Yes.
hooligans like some other people, and so headbutting never been a part of their world.
Yes. Okay. This may sound like nonsense to some, but let's come at this from a different perspective. One where we are all experts. How do we know when an animal is looking to eat us or attack us or be aggressive, etc.? Especially like when they are not being openly hostile or they are angling for something to eat or get away with some behavior. In
Mm.
all of these cases, we read their intent, a most important survival skill. We aren't reading their minds, but interpreting a whole host of clues transmitted in
Yeah.
all the ways a being can communicate. How does this apply to us? By holding our issue in the forefront of our awareness, because it is something important, because
Yeah.
it is primarily an intent, specifically an intent to communicate, holding the all of it there as an overlay.
Fine.
It affects our behavior, our posture, our stance, our face, and
Yes.
those last three, especially, both physically and metaphorically. Thus, we communicate in all those subtle ways with our being, ways which we could not consciously easily use.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Very cool. That explains a lot. Yes, that really helps. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. It's all
yes.
right, Norma. Very cool. And thank you. I'm glad it makes sense. Very good. Very good. Thanks for
Clarity of
responding.
intent. When we are holding a resolved issue like that, whatever whatever we do, whomever we interact with, all our actions and behavior, particularly responses, are now influenced by what's held in the forefront of our awareness.
Hmm.
We are, of course, all familiar with this in others, like when someone has a very clear agenda, like when they wish to, say, be nominated for
Oh, clear
something.
agenda.
Okay, where?
No, you read. I thought I heard agent, but someone like when someone has a very clear agenda. Yeah.
Yes, agenda, yes. Like when they wish to say be nominated for something or children angling for something from something.
Mm.
It's obvious because they are single-minded. However, the same mechanism can be used for surprisingly complex understandings. The key is to have thought through the entire matter, to know it inside out, and to be clear as to remedy and clear as to substantiation, justifications, and reasoning, like with our boss. When they receive an upsetting call and then immediately take out their frustrations on us, we can't simply respond with being hurt, bothered, upset, etc. This doesn't help, as most in these situations do. Why not? Because the cause and effect are not connected. The boss is upset and irritated, annoyed, etc., which in the immersion into their mood disconnects them from logic somewhat because they are irritated. Now suddenly appear irritating
Mm.
because they are annoyed. You become annoying, it's after the fact emotional logic. Most important to understand. Thus, if we react with hurt or upset, the boss is just aggravated even more, as it is then us that is acting unreasonably. Like, what's up with this, with us being all hurt at them, being irritated at us for being irritating?
Mm.
They have lost connection to the original cause.
Mm.
But here, we can hold the entire issue in the forefront of awareness.
Mm.
We hold the entire issue here, sorry, there. Thus, since we have thought all this through beforehand, because we understand the fullness of the situation, we know what's involved from an overview perspective. So, it does not matter in the precise details as to how it plays out. Because of all of this, when the boss next takes out their moves on us, we are prepared. Our reactions are
Mm.
different.
I'll scroll in a
Like,
moment. Wait a second, Mina. I'll scroll in different in a
yes,
moment. Yeah. Before we go a little bit, right. Let's just finish this subsection and then I'll
yes.
add it. Yeah. Okay. Our reactions are different.
Okay. Our reactions are different. You want me to continue reading?
Yes, please. Finish the
Okay.
section, then I'll say what I need to say.
Okay. Our reactions are different. We reflect the disconnection of cause to source. We reflect this in our eyes, especially. That's where that holding in the forefront of awareness is most shown, in
Mm.
most shown. So what do we now communicate? Oh, okay. I need to read this. Our reflections, sorry, our reactions are different. We reflect the disconnection of cause to source. We reflect this in our eyes, especially that's where that holding in the forefront of awareness in most shown. So, what do we now communicate? We are communicating hurt or upset. Yes, we still don't like it, but minimally. As a secondary point, mostly we are communicating unreason and disconnection.
There
We
you
are
go.
on a mission. The mission is to communicate how we are unintentionally the target for emotional dumping, and we communicate that it's not cool. Not cool is powerful as it bypasses much of criticism and problematic reasons such as fairness.
Yeah.
We are communicating the logical threads and reasoning, the paths of connection leading all the way from us back to the other. What we are doing really is thinking on behalf of the other, thinking what really they could think and thus be aware of, but are not. It's amazing how much thinking we can read in others, in another. When their thinking is clear, direct, uncomplicated, and pure, we see it easily, and thus, if we are the ones doing the thinking, can communicate this easily. We thus allow others to see us putting two and two together
Yeah.
because there are a whole host of contextual cause present. It's easy for us to make the connection. This is how it works by being actually contextual because we are holding what we need to communicate or dearly wish to communicate so much in the forefront of our awareness because it always there without shutting out the usual interaction. It becomes this added factor, this overlay, adding additional cause in context that greatly enhance communication, allowing us to communicate what is not easily said directly.
I'm getting there. I'm just catching up a bit. by being acutely contextual. That's how it works, by being acutely contextual. Because we are holding what we need to communicate or dearly wish to communicate so much in the forefront of our awareness, because it's always there. Without shutting out usual interactions, it becomes this added factor, this overlay, adding additional cues in context that greatly enhance communication, allowing us to communicate what is not easily said directly. Yeah. Is this making sense, Beena? I'm going to read your message in a moment, Norma. Read your message in a moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very powerful, very subtle stuff here. There was a point that came up, and I want to add it to Biella, in answering this, she's also bringing up another point of the subtleties of communication. And the point I want to focus on here, and I want to add it to philosophy of opposite, is that when we get involved in a back and forth in some way, typically argument, miscommunication, or even you're not even directly responding to, right, with someone, when there's just something that they don't like necessarily, then very often this can lead to a rearrangement of time. Of the timeline, I should say, not necessarily of time, rearrangement of timeline, um, uh, this with awful truths. That's where it comes to. That's where it comes in. Okay. So what I mean is, and I think Biella mentioned it there, but I just wanted to add it here as a philosophy of opposite thing, because it's very it's very opposite. So we're going along, I'm interacting, and and I communicate something, yes? For instance, I maybe say, well, that wasn't very cool what you did. And then the person responds to my critique of them, yes? But I may have just like not being negative or aggressive, yes? Just saying it like, okay, I didn't really care for what you did. I'm kind of neutral about it, or even say it in a positive way. Say, I understand why you did that, but for me, the result was negative. But this upsets them. Now they respond with negativity. They respond with hostility. They're very upset, right? And now they say things because of that upset. They can't address the issue directly, so they say horrible, negative things back toward me. Yeah, and now I likewise maybe don't. Yeah, I still might not even get upset. Yes, and I might say, but that's not true. This is not true. Like, where you coming with this stuff, right? And now the thing carries on. But later, when they remember this, right, and let's say eventually I do get annoyed, they will take my getting annoyed and put it in the front of that interaction. It's quite an amazing thing, right? Because me getting annoyed, which came much later, now gets moved in the timeline to the front. Much like in this year, I can take these chapters and just drag them up or down to where I want them to be, right? I can change the order of the timeline here. Now, people do this with how they remember, because them now dragging to the front of the timeline that I got annoyed somewhere along the line. Why is it in the front? Because then their annoyance was a response to my annoyance. It wasn't actually, but they rearranged the timeline to justify their inappropriate negativity. Right? And this, I've seen this happen many, many, many times. It's quite an incredible thing. Now, however, if you are in a situation where you want to resolve this and you're having a discussion, a good faith discussion to try and figure it out and get clarity of everything, forget about it, because in the memory, that's how it is for that person. They actually literally remember it that way. It's very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And it doesn't help that you say, no, but you're rearranging things. Nah, forget about it. So, there's some times where you just got to understand that this ain't going to happen unless you bring up a video or a recording of it. And even then, you're still going to have trouble. When people don't want to face an awful truth, doesn't matter how much you present them with the actuality of it, no, forget about it. Doesn't get through. They don't want to know, right? It's very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. All right, let's see what Norma has said. Yes, makes sense. Good, Norma. Good, good, good. Good. I like it when you say it does. It's very important because if it doesn't, I want to know. And that means then there's more explanation needed, right? Um, okay, the answer to that didn't mean this to go live. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if you were responding in the you were meant to comment, but you just put it in mine accidentally because that happens sometimes too. So it's okay, Norma. It's all good. It's really not a problem. No worries. All right, please continue, Beena. Sharing in honesty. Before I go further, Norma, would you like some tea? I'm about to make. I want to make coffee, but I'll make you tea. I know your English tea is probably better. What about you, Beena? Would you like some tea? Coffee?
Yes.
Tea or coffee? Which one?
Tea.
Tea. All right.
Tea.
Tea for Beena, and I'll make tea for Norma just because she's English. I'll assume maybe she's not stereotypical in everything else, but maybe when it comes to tea, okay. All right, please continue, Beena. Please continue.
Yes. Okay.
Mm.
From the top. Holding. Oh, it's repeated.
Sharing in honesty. That's where we are.
Sharing inner honesty. Holding all of this so clearly and right up front, where it can be seen and perceived, is the key. We have to put ourselves out there to some extent, and this is another way to understand what forefront of awareness means. Consider how much we hold back, not necessarily hide, but don't push to the front
Mm.
inside us,
Yes.
because we feel like it would be immodest, presumptuous, egotistical, compromising, or because of a whole bunch of reasons. We can do the opposite and push to the front and thus show ourselves in this way. Holding something in the forefront of awareness is just that, except more focused, more deliberate, and most of all, completely thought through.
Mm.
That is the key. We have to be clear, be resolved, have no doubts, feel completely legitimate and supported in what we hold in the front of us.
Yes.
We also have to be impeccable, since in
Yes.
what we hold in the front of us, we also have to be fully substantiated thus, and for reason that transcendence, transcend petty emotionalism. Oh wow, and
Yes.
for reason that transcend petty emotionalism. However
Yes.
much those are internally valid, they don't typically make for good communication, as they come across as petty complaining, and no one likes that. We
Yes.
can think of communicating while holding in the forefront of our awareness as holding a conversation with another or others, where all
Mm.
are completely honest and free from petty emotions,
Mm.
where conversation is pure truth conversation, no ego, no defensiveness, etc., where there is no choice really but to acknowledge the truth, because the truth has been scrupulously refined and presented with utmost clarity. All
Mm.
potential counter arguments have been pre resolved.
So something comes up to me that I want to add to this. In other
Yes,
words, when we think about this forefront of awareness, what are we doing? We are enabling the power of honesty as a concept, as a feeling, as a vibe, as an energy. We are enabling the power of honesty to assist us in our communications. Yeah? And
yes,
when we take this all the way through, we can think of communicating via the forefront of our awareness or holding something in the forefront of our awareness as as how we would communicate if we were telepathic. Right? If we were
Yes.
fully telepathic, we could have no secrets. We could have no silly thoughts. We could have no petty thoughts, no agendas. We can't have negative, nasty thoughts. We'd have to have that. We'd have to have all of our nonsense sorted out, because otherwise, whoever comes and we have a telepathic communication, well, they're going to see all of that inside of us, right?
Yes.
And so this is the same point here. When you clear out all of the nonsense and you are able, because you don't have nonsense, and therefore you are able to be fully honest, that purity comes through, right? And it's there. It's just something that's built into us, right? Like when the lion wants to eat you, you see very clearly it wants to eat you because it's just honest about it. It's not trying to hide it. Yeah.
Yes.
Leopards hide it. They're very good at disguising their intent, by the way. They're very sneaky leopards. Anyway, so I'm saying that when we have a thought, a communication, and we are able is the key word here, able to be fully honest about it. We have no reservations and no things that we don't want to say, no holding back, in other words, right? Now all of our energy is behind this communication. See what I mean?
Yes.
And this is the power of forefront inner awareness. That's why it starts off to say you have to have thought it through, and of course be able to share it fully honestly. And this is a point that I want to add here. It's a subtle point, but it's a very important point. Yes, that
Yes.
this holding in the forefront of your awareness is also about leveraging the power of full honesty. Yeah? Does that help, Beena? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very big point. It's a very huge point. And I don't think many people realize how ineffective their communications are because they aren't fully honest. And they aren't able to be fully honest because they're not resolved about the issue. Yes. You must be resolved. You know, if somebody's being nasty, you must be resolved and say, look, sorry, you're being nasty. That's it. I can't hold this. I can't hide this. This is just the truth. Yes. I don't want to be not nice. I don't want to be unpleasant, but sorry, I can't say this. I don't have to have a negative mood towards it, but I have to have honest, accurate thought about it, awareness, understanding of it. Yes. Right. It
Yes.
is what it is, you know. And that's very important in this type of communication, to be fully resolved, to have it completely resolved within you so that you can share it with full honesty. So I just want to make I'll just make a one sentence point here, really. It's about, in other words, it's about leveraging the full power of honesty in communication. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And nothing's holding it back, because this is, I did say sharing in honesty. All right. So it is there actually. All right. Never mind. I don't need to do anything. Okay. It's there already. Okay. Yeah. On wine. Sorry. No tea for Norma. She's having wine. Okay. Good.
On
Well,
Wi-Fi.
wine
Sorry.
is like evening tea, isn't it? Isn't that
She
what
says
wine?
on Wi-Fi. Sorry.
No, I think wine. So I asked if she wants tea, so she said no. She's on wine.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Ah,
Wine is late afternoon or evening tea. Regular tea
okay.
is for the day in the morning. Wine is like evening tea. Isn't that right, Norma? So just translating stuff, making it a little different. Oh, I'm gonna tell you a joke when we finish that, but finish the last thing here, and I'll tell you the joke afterwards.
Comprehensive representation. I have used example of an untoward boss and communicating something that has negatively of some sort involved. But of course, we can just as well use holding in the forefront of awareness to positive effect. For
Mm.
instance, if we are giving a lecture, the topic is complicated, complex, deep,
Yeah.
time is limited. If we have the full mastery of our topic, there in the forefront of our awareness, it will communicate on a second channel as we communicate verbally. We thus represent what we are talking about. Very powerful. Even more so in Q&A, as we then are responding with pertinence and relevance, which are always most critical when it comes to comprehension. And it is comprehension we are after, slightly different to understanding.
Yeah.
We are we can comprehend someone's intent without understanding it.
Mm.
Attuning to intent is in general is fantastically useful with communication, both in receiving and transmitting. It's
Yeah.
key. Once we master intent, so much clears up, and we can do so much more, such as communicating via holding something in the forefront of our awareness.
Yeah.
When asked an answer this question, stuff happens to me, Connie. Biella.
Yeah. I gave Connie a very, comprehensive answer here to what she may have thought was a simple question, but I don't think she thought it was a simple question. So a lot came out in this. It's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, see, it's 1800, which is 6 o'clock by Norma, which that's evening. So, see, evening tea, Norma, evening tea. Enjoy your evening tea. Enjoy your evening tea. um, Now I have a question for you, Beena, and you also, Norma. I want to know on the podcast, what do I hold in the forefront of my awareness? Look at this craziness, by the way, while you're thinking of your response there. Can you see? My
Oh,
daily vitamins
yes.
and minerals and this, you know. That's beside the gummies, of which there are how many gummies did I say?
8, 16,
8.
what?
Yeah. No, it was, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 8 of them. Yeah. And I truly can't say it really makes much difference, but I take it anyway. That doesn't do me any harm that I know. So Right. So what do you think I should hold in the forefront of my awareness during the podcast, Beena?
Okay, I was waiting for Norma to respond.
Well,
But okay. For me, what I have been observing, I will answer according to or based on that. That it has to be first thing that you are an expert, really an expert, excellent expert on this
okay.
topic,
Okay.
a real
Okay.
authority.
Yeah.
That is something like it has to be there.
Yeah.
No
Make a note,
doubts, no
please.
shying away, nothing. This is you are an authority on this subject, first thing. And the second thing that this is the most crucial and critical thing in anyone's life. They all need to have this.
Yeah. It's a big
It
deal,
will
in other
shape
words, right? It's a big deal. Big deal.
this
Yeah.
even more than a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal can be avoided. Like, okay, yes, I don't want that
Yeah.
because it's moreness. Okay, yes, if you don't want, no, it has
Yeah.
to be the most critical need. And the third point is that I am communicating with you, not assuming that you will not understand. People will understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
That is something
So I have
I
to
feel
put it in
very.
a positive. I'm communicating,
Yes.
assuming you will understand.
Yes.
Hmm. The question, those three answers, which I shall repeat and do a repeat back on for my own comprehension and connecting it and to remember it. The question was, Norma, during the podcasts, what do I hold in the forefront of my awareness? Now, Beena said, I have to hold authority. Now, she said it longer than that, but that's the one word, authority. Second is, it's a big deal, important, significant, what I'm talking about, right? I just lumping it together under big deal, important. Third was that I'm communicating, assuming you will understand. In other words, it is understandable. That's really the underlying intent, right? That what I'm communicating is understandable. Yeah. So don't worry if you, in other words, don't worry if you don't quite get it at first. Just think about it. You'll get it. Right, Beena? That's what you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
All
Also
right.
that you don't
Hang
need
on,
to
hang on, hang on.
overdo
So
or
hang on. Are you
make
adding a
it more
fourth
simple
point?
for them.
Are you adding a fourth point?
No.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to repeat them. So it's authority, big deal importance, and is understandable.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Now elaborate. Go ahead, please.
I was just saying that like they will understand whatever you are going to share. You don't need to make it more simple, or you don't need to make it
Hmm.
like kind of repeating in
Oh,
different ways.
that's
No.
for me then. That's not the forefront of communication for them then. That's for me internally. That's a different thing.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't want to put that in the forefront of my awareness then, right? But again, Norma says, "Oh yes, understandable," and I do think it is important. All right, but you're making a different point. You're making a point of one which I have to set myself the intent ahead of time. I'm not talking
Yes.
about that,
Yes.
Bina. I'm not saying my agendas, my objectives. That's a different thing. But this is what
No.
I hold in the forefront of my awareness
Yes.
constantly, that I'm pushing this out. And I do think that it is a good point to push out that, yes, it sounds complicated and it
Yes.
sounds incomprehensible because it's new, it's different, and it's outside of your paradigm. When I say there's no competing, uh, somebody just deep into the superior, oh, they don't have games. That's how they might take it. You know what I mean? And it's not what I mean. No. Not interpersonal competing. But I'm just saying, I'm just using for an example here. So to say that, and I'm explaining like now, forefront of awareness. It is understandable. You just have to listen a bit. You have to just pay attention and go back over it if you don't understand. Ask if you don't understand. It is understandable. It's not incomprehensible, even though it might seem so at first. So this is a very good point to hold in place. So again, the 3 points, see what I'm doing? I'm making a mnemonic connection here. Because what you said, Bina, echoed what I feel, right? One is I'm an authority. Two, it is important and it's a big deal. And three, it is understandable. It's not just understandable, but usable,
Yes.
right? To add that tweak on there, to use, right? It's you. Yeah. Usable and understandable. Understandable, usable. Doesn't it have to be mutual? What, the understanding? I'm not sure what the it is. Very cool. Last one. Last one, Bina. Last one, Bina. Get this painting again.
Yes.
Oh, man. That's just cool.
You're not sharing screen.
Oh, right. I turned it off while we were discussing that there. Yeah. Very cool. I like that. What you said to hold in the forefront of awareness. And that's nicely done, Bina. Nicely done. Thank you. It's very important that because, especially to this, that it's a big deal. This doesn't come naturally to me. It's a big deal to me, but I have to hold in the forefront of my awareness that it's a big deal to the world, not just to me.
Exactly. This is what I was
And
saying.
I'm not being arrogant. Yes, I'm an
Yes.
authority. I know what I'm talking about here. And this is a big deal. Not, I think it's a big deal. It is a
It
big
is.
deal. There's a very big difference, right?
Yes.
This is a big deal. I'm just sharing it. That's what my part in it. It is a big deal. No matter that some of it I originate. Some of us fear to ask as we feel we should understand. I know, Norma, and that's in the hierarchy paradigm. In our paradigm, there's no such thing as should. Actually, should is almost like saying the F word. It's kind of almost the same, right? It's a negative word. It's a dirty word. We don't use it. Not because we're avoiding saying should, but because it's not part of the thinking in this paradigm. There are no shoulds. It was ever appropriate. To say should is to limit appropriateness to a particular context according to a particular person, according to a particular gender, motivation, goal. It's absurd. It's absurd. I mean, yes, you can generalize, but still, even then, there's always exceptions to everything. So yes, in this environment, this interactivity, there's no should, Norma, no should whatsoever, especially when it comes to asking questions. That's one why this should is such a big negative, because people do exactly what you do. They don't want to ask because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to look stupid, look silly. In our Nobelia, that's if you're not doing it because you don't want to look silly, that's how you prove that you are silly. When you say, "Oh, I was wrong. I don't understand," that's showing you are intelligent. Opposite, opposite, opposite. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, please, you ask. If you don't understand, you ask. If you don't understand, you ask. To me, I get tremendous joy from explaining something to assist in elucidation. In other words, to assist somebody to come to understanding. This is one of the most joyful, wonderful things that we can do. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think. I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean. What you didn't say. Some of us fear to ask as we feel we should understand. Yeah. No, I know everything I said wasn't about what you said. I was just making it. I was generalizing it to a general response, Norma. I wasn't specifically applying to you. Um, I had a point that I was making for philosophy of opposite. Um, what did I just say, Beena? What was I saying about being wrong? Yes, yes. Yeah. I mean, in philosophy of opposite, acknowledging you're wrong is intelligent. Whereas in superiority paradigm, that's the worst thing you can do. That makes you stupid, right? To acknowledge that you're wrong. It's like a big no-no. You should never acknowledge that you're wrong or I've made a mistake or whatever, or don't understand, etc. Yeah. Oh, a big deal. Big deal. That's good. It's a good. It's a topic, right? For philosophy of opposite. Yeah, Beena? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No worries, Norma. All good. All good. I do know what you mean. Yes, yes. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, let's do the last chapter here. Brilliant. Before we go, I want to tell my joke. I've been having this joke in my head. I saw it on, and I thought that's a good joke. I want to repeat this joke. And also, I moved up my headset. Instead of putting it here, I noticed listening to the audio. I didn't mean to, but I was looking for something and I was listening. And it sounds like my S's and stuff gets a bit crunched. I think the mic is too close. So I put it up here,
Mhm.
and I think it's a bit better. Yes? A little clearer.
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. So there was this Mexican bloke, Beena, and he
Mm-hmm.
committed a murder. And he pushed his wife off a cliff. Oh, the detective comes and says, "Why did you do it?" And the Mexican guy simply responded with tequila. That was a great joke on the play of words. I love it. Tequila, to kill her, tequila. Well, I'm glad you got my joke. I wasn't sure because I was trying to say it with to kill her in the accent to get close to tequila, but not quite say tequila, the
Tina.
drink, right? Tequila,
Yes.
tequila, right, tequila, right. So, it's hard to get it exactly right, but it makes for a good joke, I thought. Yeah. Anyway,
Extracting the good.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you,
Uh,
Norma. Just fun, 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 fun. All right, go ahead.
extracting the good. How does one learn from and adapt to suffering proactively without investing meaning in it? Good.
Oh,
Dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting, nothing in of itself has meaning. Meaning is something we create. It is not in things independently. This to me is a fundamentally vital understanding which changes everything. Life and meaning and making sense is not out there. It's all entirely within. We, and we alone, are the creators of meaning. If the meanings you are getting make no sense, then change them. That is a challenge, to find sense in the insensibility, to create sense.
Yeah.
But it's sense only for yourself. It's always intensely personal, as it's only presumptuous to think we can know what is sensible to others. How does one accept that life is unfair in a functional way? Yes, definitely individuals with free choice, just no suffering. By restarting your own personal world, by beginning from the perspective of insisting, absolutely insisting, not because objectively it is or is not, but because we have to, because we cannot live in any other system. By insisting that it's all good, knowing also that good is not necessarily nice. Somehow, in some way, the world, the universe, the system is good to me. I have to insist on that view. Life is unacceptable otherwise. Positive
Well, one
confirmation.
second, there. The full stops made a big difference there. Norma says, yes, 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 Beena. But before we go, right? So this where we
Okay,
said,
good.
somehow, in some way, the world, the universe, the system is good. Not is good to me, right?
Okay,
Is good to
okay.
me.
It's good. To
Yeah.
me, I have to insist on that view. Life is unacceptable otherwise.
Right. So in other words, Biella is saying she's going to insist that the world, the universe, the system is good. I want to make that all caps. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Positive confirmation
Let me scroll up for you. 1
bias.
second. There we
It
go.
does. It, okay, it has not scrolled yet for me, but okay, okay now.
It's a lot of lag, huh?
Yes, yes. Extracting the good. How does one learn from and adapt to suffering? Proactive. No?
Where are
Positive
you now?
confirmation bias. See?
Yeah, there we
It
go.
flagged. Yes, it was a big, big yes.
That's
Positive
amazing.
confirmation bias.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we cannot yet see that good. It's a starting point. We are employing positive confirmation bias to its fullest effect. We have undertaken the task of creating meaning, for ultimately that's the truth of it. Anything can be seen from multiple perspectives. Absolute meanings are a myth. Everything can mean any number of things. The key is to understand that we are the ones who choose. We
Yeah.
don't ever have to choose a single meaning either. Another myth. Since meaning is our choice, all meaning is completely a function of us, of our choices, of us selecting a particular meaning from the infinity of possible meanings. This understanding can be overwhelming in terms of personal responsibility. You have to step up and assume that responsibility or stop living. There is no other way, really, if one's reject the complete pointlessness of suffering. The task becomes one of finding positivity. How can I see the world of horror and suffering and cruelty, in a way which makes sense, in a way that works for me? How can it possibly be good? How can I extract good? This is the start. Doesn't matter if we can't see it yet. We have chosen to believe it's possible. We have chosen to believe goodness is the order of the day because we have to. Without that, we have nothing. But we are honest, we are sincere, and we don't want to be delusional or inaccurate. And in this, we have to realize varying perspectives can all be true. We can choose which we want to have foremost, which to emphasize, and which to focus on. In the end, it's always our choice. So we
Oh,
start by assuming good and seeing how we can find it. It's not easy, but we have to start in the only place we can. the only place we can be entirely sure of all the component aspects, and that's within ourselves. It's only inside itself where we can be free of assumptions and thus also avoid the error of presuming for others. We can't ever truly know the reality within another. We can always only guess. Within ourselves, we can be sure. We can examine ourselves fully and see where and how the suffering we experienced could have been good for us. What could came out of the experience? We have set aside our preconceptions. We are on a new mission. The mission is to find the good, no matter what, because we have to. Without finding that good, we only have suffering, and that's unacceptable. Unless we
Yes.
wish to wallow in self pity all our lives.
Without finding that good, we only have suffering, and that's unacceptable. Unless we wish to wallow in self-pity all our lives. I'm going to elaborate this on in a minute because, oh, look at this, man. Oh, it's just beautiful. Yeah, see, there you are, Norma. There you are. Norma says, I love this whole paragraph. I can link it to the bad treatment of animals too. Yes. And I'm going to elaborate on this in a moment. In other words, to make sense out of things. Yeah. How we can make sense out of negativity. Very, very important point. All right. Assuming responsibility for living. Oh, very big topic here. Very big topic.
It's okay. Assuming responsibility for living. But the strange thing is, when we begin to look, we find all sorts of good from our suffering, not in them, but from them. Good as a result, as a consequence. If we are scrupulously honest, we see how oftentimes we are the chief perpetrators of our suffering by refusing to learn, by refusing to change, to adapt, to grow, and by clinging. However, we come to take responsibility. We learn to abstract because we must. For it's here we see there's part of us which comes with positions and perspectives, beliefs and
Comes
life.
from. Oh no.
Comes with.
Comes with positions and perspectives. I see. I see. Okay. No, that's right. Right. Sorry.
Comes with positions and perspectives,
Yeah.
beliefs and likes, tendencies and predilections. That part needs to learn. It's not perfect, but it's our core. Some of its makeup is deeply entrenched and problematic, so it takes extreme measures to shake us from this rigidity. It's learn or suffer. That's the new order of the day.
Yeah.
At first, we're only choosing to adopt this new stance out of expediency.
Expediency.
Expediency. Okay. At first, we're only choosing to adopt this new stance out of expediency. This new posture that there is goodness to it all, and that we are making every effort to look for goodness, to find it, to create it. But soon, if we're not honest, scrupulously honest,
if we are honest, but soon, if we're honest, scrupulously honest.
But soon, if we're honest, scrupulously honest, we start to see sensibility. We see we did, in fact, derive some good from what at the time was not experienced with us. We come to understand good is not necessarily nice. We examine the entirety of events. We look at delicate beginnings. We ask at what point could I have chosen a different path to the one I did take? How would I have known to take a different path? And if we are again scrupulously honest, we begin to see a recurring pattern. Always. In the beginnings, there was an easy way, a time we could have chosen to change. Those early opportunities always involved learning and changing, but we didn't. So the pattern escalates, making the lesson a bit more forceful. And if we still do not learn, the situations continue to escalate as trouble until we do.
Yeah. You can go a little slower, Beena. We're not that rushed for time. We're all right. Yeah. I mean, unless you want to read.
So I was being informed that we have a whole book is still to
This,
complete.
well,
Uh,
this is the
but
last one of this book, but yeah, we do still have another book, but we'll be all right for time. We'll be all right for time. Yeah, we're okay. We're okay. That's why I'm adjusting
the
it
learning,
because we're going quicker than I thought we would. So it's all good, Beena.
yeah,
Yeah.
the learning is always in connection to our deep, deep personal beliefs and
Hang
personal
on, hang on, hang on. You skipped
instances.
the first chapter. It's necessity of change. We're starting. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, necessity of change. This is a harsh truth about ourselves. How do we not learn? How we cling? It's ever thus. Once we see this pattern, it's the beginning of magic in our lives.
Mm.
There's really no other way to describe it. For magic is the impossible, and we have indeed found something impossible. And that's the mechanisms which prompt the learning, the happenstances, the confluence of circumstances which come together to conspire, if one will, to create the exact circumstances ideal for us to learn what we need to. The learning is always in connection to our deep, deep personal beliefs and personal instances. That's where the problems stem from. In our essence, actually. But in essence, it's our lack of personal freedom, a lack we are responsible for. Our inner cores are too limited. They are still adhering to a limited set of rules, otherwise known as beliefs, attitudes, perspectives. Anytime we cling to anything, it's limiting in the grand scheme. Any particular belief, attitude, or perspective is limiting under certain circumstances. So we need to have them all. Only then will we be able to be free. For only then will we be able to perspective shift and find within ourselves that which is appropriate for the particular circumstance we are in. Only then are we able to venture out into the unknown, and whatever comes is no problem. We can handle it because we can be anything and thus be everything, and thus be truly free.
Wow.
But there is a complication, and that's we don't wish to be alone. We want others, but if we want others in the world, do we not also have to want the same freedom for them? Do we not have to accept that what they like and want may be different from ours until we are all perfect? Until that time, when we have learned all, until that time, we're going to, of necessity, always be in a bubble of some sort, a bubble of our
Mhm.
own making, a bubble that's projected as a result of our wants and desires, our likes and dislikes, our beliefs, attitude, and perspectives. We have to afford that same freedom to others and understand they too are creating bubbles. We have to know the problem with bubbles is that they lead to unintended consequences. We
Yeah.
only perceive what's inside the bubble, but the bubbles as a whole also impact what's outside the bubble. We don't see this easily about our own bubble, but we feel and see it about the bubbles of others.
Mm.
We have to understand the necessity of this and accept it. That is, if we wish to have others and wish for them also to have freedom, for that's the reality of it. We are on the path to freedom. It's a clinging to limitations or to our unfinished selves as if they were already perfect. That's really the cause of all the suffering.
Wow. That on the path to freedom. Wow.
Yes. Personal, intimate value. So, for me, I choose to insist that I cannot possibly know what exactly another needs to learn, only for myself. And I see clearly that all the suffering in my life was always awesome in some way. It was always connected to me personally in a deeply intimate way. I see also how I escaped much suffering by understanding the underlying mechanism. Once I fully embraced the concept that there can be good, I just have to be the one that has to make the effort to find it. Then I did and do find the good. It's certainly not easy, but inevitably when we don't, then it's simply a matter of not looking at things from the appropriate perspective. That's usually because we cling and are reluctant to give up that in which we are deeply invested. But this is a truth we have to accept, that we could spend a lifetime building a house of cards. Everything we may have built internally may turn out to be worthless. We have to be able to chuck it and let it go, no matter how much we are invested. Once we become aware that it's a dead end, we have to let go and start anew. We are most reluctant to do this, but when we do, it's always most awesome, liberating, and joyful. We have to make the effort to learn from past experiences and remember the joy and freedom when we let go in the past. That makes it easier to do so in the now. Our quest for freedom is thus a quest for fluidity, flexibility, and adaptability. For those are the keys to being able to be appropriate. And in appropriateness lies awesomeness.
Yeah.
So your approach is to look for the good in all suffering, and you mainly see your suffering as some form of resistance to change.
Yeah.
I
So
need to
here
read
we
this
see
again.
the questioner is completely not listening to what's being said. Right?
Yes,
In.
yes.
Look for the good in all suffering. They're stuck on this. See, and that comes the next subheading there. Right? I'll leave their question up there.
Okay. Let us scroll up. Okay. So your approach is to look for the good in all suffering, and you mainly see your suffering as some form of resistance to change.
How they got that right, I have no idea. Like, huh?
Yes.
Where do you come with it? But again,
From, not in.
they're speaking inside, right? This is a philosophy of opposite, is that what people say about others usually, or to others usually, is for themselves. Let me add that if it's not already in philosophy of opposite. Yes. Yeah. This is a very powerful thing to understand. Like in this case, right? This resistance to change. The questioner here is somebody who, I mean, I remember who it was, and they resist this change very profoundly, and it brings them tons of suffering. They didn't want to acknowledge the awful truth. Yeah. Yeah. When we learn to hear that, it just adds so much to our world, right? Because if you take this question as being to Biella, it makes no sense. If you take this question as being to the person themselves and understanding where their unhappiness is coming, oh, now it makes total sense. It's just so often it's an unobvious thing, but once we're aware of it, it changes so much. Very cool, very cool. Yeah. All right, please keep going, Pete.
From, not in. Not look for good in suffering. There is no good in suffering. Only for, oh, what is the word?
Masochists.
Masochist.
No, masochists.
Masochists.
Yeah.
Masochist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who enjoy pain on themselves. Right? A
Oh,
sadist
oh,
enjoys giving it. A masochist enjoys receiving it.
oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Not look for good in suffering. There is no good in suffering, only for masochists. No, it is to extract good from suffering. For if I do not, then all I'm left with is the suffering. I insist on finding it. I insist that it can be found, for I insist that the universe is ultimately benign. Again, I insist because I have to. For without this insistence on ultimate good, I have nothing. It's the insistence of necessity. The magic comes when we find the good, completely against expectations. But we cannot just let Okay, let go of our perceptions and experiences and the truths of those. It's not looking to change them in any way, simply to find new ways to look at them, to engage the magic levers of perspectives and perceptions. It's not the world which has to change, it's us who need to change. Then the world too will change. And if we do not make the best of it, we will probably have the worst of
All right, one second. Let me
it.
just put those there. To engage the magic levers of perspective and perception. And I want to make this a colon and then to put these two lines on their own. Yes? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Emphasize that. Yeah. Yeah. This very powerful. Yeah. 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 All right. Please continue.
Okay. Ultimately, it comes down to how can I get value from this? Get value without sacrificing myself, my beliefs, my principle. It's done by adding new dimensions to our being, finding new ways. It jumps again. Okay. Finding new ways of being that do not cancel us but extend us. It's not changing what is, but developing new ways to look at what is, new ways in addition to the old, not to replace them. Then we can choose which to give priority, which to emphasize, which to hold dear to our hearts, which we allow to predominate in our lives. But always, all the perspectives and approaches and views of life are within us. That's freedom choosing, but we first have to develop the tools of choice. I mean, also, most explicitly, that how I see things, how I have chosen to see things, to live. If I don't choose a path of resolute positivity, I would certainly be dead now. My heart would have been crushed by the sadness of the world a long time. It's a price of insight and understanding, which leads us to connect with the sadness of reality. But we cannot allow this. We have to find another way. And a way of ignorance is not a path either. To retreat from awareness is not an option in the long run. Yes, from, not in. Words are the tools of accurate thought. Oh, yes.
At least they
Yes.
updated there. This is from the questioner. At least they
Yes.
made that
Okay.
adjustment. And it's a huge difference, a massive
Yes.
difference. Yes. And it's so fascinating how they said this and yet they really struggled with inaccurate thought. They didn't listen to themselves.
Hmm.
If they had
Okay.
taken what they said seriously and not just said, oh, I've said something clever and left it at that, they never applied this to their own lives. And they just caused them untold. I mean, really, their whole lives imploded, collapse of life. This particular individual, their whole life collapsed because of this inability for accurate thought. And we must
Yes.
take note here. This is why without application, it's all meaningless, right? When she said
Exactly.
this person, when they said this, right, they thought, wow, this is brilliant, this is clever. Yes, I get it, I understand. And their ego got them to think that they had value from it simply through recognizing it to be an important statement. That's not enough. You have to go and apply it. They didn't apply it. They didn't change their life. They didn't start making an effort to apply accurate thought to every single thought. No. And they through inaccurate thought, they ruined their whole life completely, lost their job, ended up homeless without anything, misery, horrible. So yeah, it's a sad story, but it's a very good, noteworthy story to learn from. Right? Very big deal.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
cool to me how things work out and how they come at goals from different angles. Yes. Words manifest.
yeah, yeah. Oh, another nice school. Words manifesting, right? Right there in this experience. Profound perspective shifting.
Okay. So, sorry, I have to go.
Okay. Okay.
And
We'll have to finish this
yes,
tomorrow then. Um,
yes.
yeah. Not a problem. I want to just make one quick. All right. Well, you go. It's fine, Bina. I want to make a comment for Norma
Okay.
about the suffering of animals and cruelty to animals. And
Oh, yes. Okay.
yes.
Okay. Thank you
Uh,
so much. Thank you so much,
okay.
Norma. And I'm keen to share my understanding, my feedback and takeaway,
Yeah.
or maybe just a mix of it, about what Biala has shared about
Okay.
putting
Because this
things
is
in,
this.
in the
Yeah.
forefront of our awareness. This is something I'm very
Oh,
keen
good.
to, so that's why I'm going to share
Okay, good.
tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow. We got lots
Yes.
tomorrow, and this is a long article. It's the last one in the book, so we, 2/3. There's quite a bit to go still, Bina. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
look where the slider is. You see, there's a little
Oh,
bit of
yes.
ways
Oh,
away to go.
yes.
So,
I can see.
all right, I'm going to share a
Okay.
conversation with God with Norma.
Okay.
All right. So you know how
Okay. Okay.
people say they're first world problems. All right. Well, bye bye, Bina. Sorry, I don't want to hold you up. Good night, sweetness. Bye
Thank
bye,
you.
bye bye,
Thank you.
bye bye. Or maybe talk to you later. I don't know. Either way. All right. So you know how they say, Norma, first world problems, right? Or rich people problems. Well, God has problems too. Okay. So one of the problems of God is looks at humans and it's like, oh my God, the stiff-necked people. Remember in the Old Testament, those are paragraphs with all the prophets, right? Towards the end of the Old Testament, there all those books, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jedediah, and who knows ever, right? And they all say the same thing: "Woe be unto you, ye be a stiff-necked people," right? They all tell about the stiff-neckedness, right? In other words, people not listening, they're not getting it, right? Being stubborn and intransigent, really. Stiff-necked is intransigent. It's not necessarily stubborn, it's intransigent. It's not changing, right? And just getting stuckness. Okay. Now, God says, those stiff-necked people. What are they stuck in? What are they stuck in, Norma? They're stuck in the superiority paradigm. Yeah. Stuck in the superiority paradigm. All right. So now, how are we going to get them out of this? Yeah. You say, yeah, but why would God allow cruelty to animals? Yeah. When you see that and you are aware and you think about it, yes, isn't this an acute reminder about the horrors of superiority and hierarchy? That's the only way you can be cruel to animals, is if you buy into and subscribe to this hierarchy. I'm superior, I'm top of you, just an animal, and therefore it's okay for me to be cruel to you. Right? It's the distortion of that mindset, and it's a justification. And why is the person being cruel to the animal? Because it makes them feel superior. Because they aren't in any way, they just not a nice person, and they know this, and they don't want to face the awful truth of it and actually do something to be better. So they have this relative betterness. If I'm able to be cruel to you, I'm better than you. And now I can feel okay about myself, right? It is idiotic mindset. It's insanity, but it's entrenched. It's deep in the system. It's in the animal kingdom too. They do it to each other. So let's not make this a human thing. This is the predominant logic in the animal kingdom, right? We all love lions and everybody. Watch them closely, right? They don't show this on the documentaries, or at least not too often, because it's very nasty and unpleasant, where they fight with each other for dominance and the hierarchy and the pecking order. And when you see them being affectionate, yeah, for the most part, they're not being affectionate. For the most part, they're sucking up to the other one. Okay, just be aware of what we're seeing. Don't we put it in rose-colored glasses? Oh, they've been loving. No, they're just making sure that the one that they are being nice to isn't going to come and attack them and be nasty to them, right? It's to curry favor. That's the whole system there, right? Push down, suck up, yeah, all this, right? So it's not a pleasant system. But this is, we humans still have the system too. So when somebody's being cruel and nasty, they're practicing the superiority. Now, where's the point that God leaves it alone? Because God is saying, hey, you seeing it from the outside, see it for what it is. See it for profound horribleness and cruelty. It's a reminder thus to human beings that you need to change. Your system sucks. If you are a nice person, a good person, a compassionate person, Jesus seeing the person being cruel to the animal. Of course, Jesus feels for the animal, but Jesus also feels for the person being cruel. What a sad, sad, tremendously dreadful place to be in, where you feel that you need to feel good about yourself through being cruel. That's I have even almost more sadness for that person than I kind of do for the animal. At least the animal is, in taking on this cruelty, is enabling this example of idiocy to be made. So the animal is like doing something good, really, whereas the person being cruel is nothing good from what they do, right? So their suffering has some good for me because it reminds me that we need to change our system. So now what I'm saying is, Norma, if you look at this from a God point of view, God has to allow this nonsense because we need to change out of the system and we need to be reminded. And seeing it from the outside, yes, makes us acutely aware of it. And if you look over time at the instances, like just from a historic point of view, of people doing the stuff, it's way less than it was in times gone by. Even within my own lifetime, I've seen a tremendous shift in people's cruelty to animals, just animals, never mind to other people also, right? And things like nastiness and all of this, bullying. I've seen a profound shift already. So just in this lifetime, right? So it does change. It does change. And I'm trying to make the point is that we might look at animal cruelty and say it doesn't make any sense. But from God's point of view, it does, because it's a pressure. It's a horrible pressure. God isn't just looking at things in your lifetime, in your moment, in those few minutes. God's looking at it in the bigger picture, right? Centuries, aeons, the totality of humanity. This is a massive problem that has been around for aeons, never mind centuries, aeons, right? Millennia, aeons. Well, you've got, centuries, lots of centuries gives you a millennia, lots of millennia gives you an aeon, right? It's been around forever and it's still here. So a radical problem that's so deeply entrenched needs a radical solution to try and break the bubble. Because you can't force people to be good, then they become programmed. They got to learn it for themselves. Otherwise, it's never real. See? If I'm doing good things because I'm avoiding punishment, I'm doing it because I'm avoiding punishment, not because I'm actually good. See, this is the myth of punishment. It's going to make you into a good person. It doesn't. It simply makes you more crafty at avoiding punishment. It doesn't teach you to be good in the least. Yes. So God is aware of this. It doesn't help. All right. So now we have this where we're seeing this stuff and it affects our goodness. And in that being severely affected, we speak out. We make an effort like you. You speak out constantly against animal suffering, but you're speaking out against cruelty and against the foolishness of being cruelty. Yes. And that's a shift. And eventually that stuff, over time it builds up and it pops that bubble. It permeates that bubble and oh God, yes, really it's not a good thing to be cruel. And it slowly but surely the stuff changes. It's slow in the course of a lifetime. Yes. And yes, it may be slow in course of the evolution of humanity. But if you look at it, there is progress. If you put it in graph on a chart, there is considerable progress in terms of how cruel we are as a whole, as a civilization, right? Humanity on the planet. And back in the day, just read histories, cruelty was rampant. It was everywhere, right? I mean, it was in all things. Yes. I mean, a typical marriage was an exercise in cruelty. Typical marriage. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the woman was a sex slave. That's it. As a house slave and sex slave. That was how they were seen. How is that not cruel? Fathers selling their daughters. Daughters were property. They weren't people, they were property. Legally, it's not just occasional people thinking this. See what I'm saying? The system has changed profoundly. Yes, slavery. You cannot have slavery without cruelty. Yes, there is still slavery in the world, by the way. It's not completely gone, but it is at least gone from most of the world, and at least legally it's gone. Where it exists illegally. But there was a time when slavery was completely and utterly legally. It was the status quo. It was like totally accepted. But that can only be because there was a full acceptance of cruelty. See, cruelty to people. Right? Now we still have occasional things of cruelty to animals, but that's because that particular person is in a really bad place. and they need, and if we see somebody being cruel to animals, for me, if you know them, or you can call like social services, and they will come and deal with the person because that person's in need of therapy and uh, some resolution in life. See what I mean? I'm trying to make this point that when we zoom out, Norma, and look at things from God viewpoint, from a universal viewpoint, we start to look, we start to see things very differently. We start to look at things differently, and it's a very, very, very places now. Yeah, yeah. Let me just respond there real quick. So this is a very, very big deal. When we look at things from this universal perspective or God perspective, there's a different logic involved. We tend to think very local, very small, and then we don't see the overall that makes sense. And also, uh, uh, most people they don't trust God enough, right? Most people of faith, I always scold them. I say, "Oh, ye of little faith." If you had complete faith and trust in God, you would insist that there has to be a good reason for everything. You will insist that there has to be a good reason for everything. Why? Well, because this is God we're talking about. Come on. How can there not be? See? But people doubt it and they say, oh, must be bad. Well, then you don't really trust God. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Very important point to understand. So trust that there is this goodness. Yes, trust. And then start to make an effort to look at things from God's perspective or the universe's perspective. And we do, everything starts to make sense. That's why for me, the world makes sense. Not only makes sense, but it's brilliant. It's awesome. It's fantastic. It's genius. I see the genius of it all the time. It's complex, yes, but it's worth it to make the effort to see that. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So, my pleasure, Norma. I hope that helps there. I'm keen to know what you think about what I just said. I'm very keen. So, right here, let me just